I think what we'll talk about today is don't be that guy.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Okay.
And we will bring in noted criminal defense attorney Tom Grieve and a former state prosecutor. Not that I don't want you to be Tom, but we'll talk about the worst possible gun clients you could have and tell people not to be that guy. But before we talk about this great topic, I want to remind you, we have a gun giveaway going on. You can enter for free, but it ends really soon. So click the link in the description down below to reveal which brand new gun you could win. Tom, let's talk about the biggest mistakes. And I know that attorney-client privilege and all that sort of legal mumbo jumbo. You can't talk about specific people in cases and things like that. But who's the worst client you ever had? No names, please. Get the beep button ready.
Well, I can give you kind of three traits that seem to be some pretty common denominators. One would be clients who like to surprise their attorneys in court, right? So they don't tell you all the facts. They think that they're doing some sort of favor because they saw it on a TV show. And even though we ask them right in the first phone call, let us know everything, they seem to take that as a challenge of, all right,
hey, I got an idea.
I'm going to slide this past the goalie and we'll see if that works. And then all of a sudden, a month, 2, 3, 4, 10, whatever it is, down the river, we're in court. And what do you know? There's a surprise and something that the client should have warned us about or told us about. So
rule number 1, be honest and open with your attorney.
Yes, I want to know everything, the good, the bad, and especially the ugly. Just let us know.
Yep.
Okay. So that's got to be number 1. Number 2 is a lack of responsibility. My view on being an attorney, and I know I'm not alone in this, is that it's my job to be forthright, to be honest and transparent as far as here's what your options are. It's also our job to be zealous and to be advocates on behalf of our clients to develop the best options possible. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a list of options that our clients oftentimes have to pick from. There's going to be pros and cons, risks and benefits to each. Some of those might be steeped in risk, high risk, high reward. Others might be lower risk, lower reward. And at the end of the day, it's going to be my job to walk our client through, okay, based on the goals that you described to me, Bob, here's what seems to be a good fit. But at the end of the day, it's your life. It's your case. You tell me what you want to do. Great. But you got to also own up to the responsibilities that go with that, right? In other words, a client who we say, look, based on how you've described yourself, based on what you identified as your goals, it seems to me like maybe this lower risk option of accepting these misdemeanors or whatnot may be a better choice than pursuing the jury trial and all these felonies. But completely understandable, even though we are forecasting a low chance of victory if you pursue this strategy versus that one. And somebody who has these goals, all of a sudden, just throw those to the side. They now pursue this strategy, which is completely at odds with that. And we tell them this isn't going to work. It probably is going to fail. And 6 months from now, you're not going to be a happy camper. And we tell them that, in face-to-face meetings and phone calls. We certainly tell them that in recorded emails and letters. And, to clients' benefit, sometimes that works out. But usually we're pretty good at kind of saying, this might work out, but it probably won't, and you're going to be in a worse position than if you had done X. Whatever the case may be. If you're going to pursue that, you got to own up to it. Don't blame that on your attorney.
Yeah.
If you're going to make these decisions, if you're going to embrace risk, God bless. My own attitude is rather aggressive on things. God bless, but you got to take responsibility for those choices at the end of the day.
What about the guy? It's almost, I shouldn't say almost always a guy. I've run into that. It's almost always a guy. The angry guy on the street who's screaming at the cops, I know my rights, you can't be doing this. Even if he was involved in a deadly force incident that would later be found justified or something like that. The actions of a person on the street interacting with police as they investigate this, and then the cops are looking at or you're looking at the body cam footage or the dash cam footage or something like that. What do you say to people who might get a little worked up when dealing with the authorities?
Yeah, so the word that I'm going to focus on in that sentence wasn't the I know my rights phrase, okay? It's the shouting, or however it was that
Yeah.
you just described it, because there's a polite, respectful way to raise your rights. And there seems to be, from my experience, we're at the largest criminal defense firm in the state, there doesn't seem to be any real correlation between people who raise their rights and them being rude or disrespectful or difficult clients. Yeah. There is a very strong correlation, however, between people who are, generally speaking, just assholes to cops, to witnesses, to whoever, and people who are assholes to their attorney. So
okay.
I applaud people who choose to raise their rights. I applaud people who choose to do those things. It may not always be the right solution. It usually is. It almost always is. But on a rare moon, sometimes maybe it isn't. Someone should have said something. But raising your rights is always the safest answer. It may not 100% of the time be the right answer, but we digress. But yeah, if you're going to be a jerk to cops,
yeah,
I always tell our younger attorneys, if you see somebody who's being a jerk to law enforcement, that's a case you need to make sure that you are going out of your way to go above and beyond on the documentation, because that person, there's going to come a time and a place where even if you get all the charges dropped, like 100% dismissed, we have had clients scream at us and berate us. Now, to be clear, these are like 0.001%, okay, of people who do this.
But they'll stand out.
When you got over 1,000 clients at any point in time, it happens enough that it sticks with you. Maybe not 0.001, but it's a really, really small number. But I mean, we deal with difficult people. They're usually, fortunately in our practice, they're good people on a bad day. Sometimes they're just difficult, is what it is. And I get it. There's stress and anxiety. People bring their baggage in. Our intake attorneys do a great job of trying to screen out people who we think are going to be awful clients. But there's always some people who kind of sneak through the wire there, so to speak. The last thing I'd add to this would be communication. People who don't communicate, people who aren't upfront about, look, here's my goals. People who aren't upfront about this is how I'd like to proceed with the case, or people who are frankly just mechanically difficult to communicate with. You set up a time to call, you call them as the attorney, they don't answer. They call back, at 6 o'clock. Oh yeah, I forgot. Can we talk now on Wednesday night at 6 o'clock? Or no, I can only meet you at 8 p.m. at night because I got this volleyball league I'm in. Or I really want you to. I can only meet on Saturdays. And we get the fact that people have lives, but that goes both ways, right? You presumably wouldn't ask to see your dentist on a Saturday or something like that. And I'm not saying that in unusual cases that we don't meet. I've met clients 365. I've had Christmas Eve conversations, Christmas morning meetings, Thanksgiving Day. I mean, pick a holiday, done it. But those are extraordinary circumstances when there weren't any options. Not we've got this casual meeting. It has to take place in the next 6 weeks. Let's pick Christmas morning as the day to do it on. Yeah. Don't be that person who's utterly disrespectful of the attorney's time and their life outside of the office too.
Yeah, people need to understand that if they're involved in a defensive incident and they have retained an attorney, this is pretty important. This is not, can we wait till after my volleyball league is over? So
now, if I were to, if we want to expand on this just a little bit, do we have tape? Is it still running? Okay, all right. They'll load another VHS in there. Okay, I'd say that some of our worst clients, kind of by group, it's not really them. To a degree, maybe it is, but it's people with helicopter parents. So young adults, teenagers, mom or dad or whoever it is that's in the picture, they'll hire us, but they know better. They know better. They saw a TV show. Their cousin's next door neighbor's dad used to be a cop, and they talked to them, and now they got the straight scoop on what we're doing wrong, right? Or this is another favorite, and as an officer, you can you'll chuckle at this, is, well, the arresting officer said that, we really don't have to worry about that. Sure, they took my son in and they interrogated him for 5 hours in a recorded room, but they said that it's no big deal. We don't have to worry about it.
Standard policy.
He's got this court thing tomorrow, but they said we really don't have to worry about it, and it'll be, it'll be fine. The public defender's office will interview him, and we're fine. You can stand down. Basically, it's some of the most frustrating clients are people who they'll hire us, but then they try to just disregard everything and do things their way.
Yeah.
Super frustrating. Well, I'll end on this. You know who some of our best clients are?
Cops.
Yes. The opposite end of that spectrum. Cops, right? Yeah. Where the first group of client that I was describing, let's say their kid's up on narcotics charges or whatever, a 19-year-old got pinched with a little bit of weed or whatever at school. Mm-hmm. Okay. And the detective will say, hey, can you come on in and give a statement, right? And mom will call me and, well, should Johnny give a statement? And I'll say, no, Johnny should not give a statement. Maybe in some reality, Johnny should give a statement, but let's just play it safe and say no statement. Well, Attorney Grieve, I saw this TV show where it said you should give a statement, and the detective said we should give a statement. So I should really, all right, if you want to give a statement. 3 months later, oh, surprise, surprise, didn't work out. What were the odds? Yeah. If I ask the cop, hey, did you give a statement? They'll laugh. I'll laugh. I'll check the no box, and we move on.
Yeah.
Okay. So cops are fantastic clients because they understand how this system works. They understand what they're up against. They understand a lot of the basic do's and don'ts. Now, they may not have all the back-end programming that attorneys do, but they've got a lot of great, especially if they've been on the force for sometimes, they've got a lot of fantastic front-end programming to know this is what correlates with a bad outcome. This is what correlates with a better outcome, and they can avoid a lot of the mistakes and pitfalls.
Yeah, they need to trust that their attorney, everyone, not just we're talking about cops in the last bit of this, everyone needs to trust that their attorney is doing the best for them, is working for them in this case, and perhaps really seriously consider taking that attorney's advice, and if you really don't trust it, then get a different attorney.
Get a different attorney.
Yeah.
My experience with those folks is, that's another warning sign is if we see somebody who's on their fifth attorney, every 2 months they fired an attorney, that's a case that we will almost never take because that's a red flag of
who previously represented you. Here's the list.
No, we see it on our online court docketing.
Yeah.
Oh, you've had 5 attorneys, and you can look like, well, that guy's kind of a goofball, but this guy's legit. So. Yeah, that's a 4th of July of warning signs right there.
All right. Well, folks, listen to Tom and don't be like that guy, okay? Because, Tom, thank you again for being here. Always great insight, helpful. We want to make sure that people have the best possible information they can have when they're dealing with the legal system. It's sometimes very convoluted, and the stakes are always really, really high. So thank you again for being here. Thank you for watching all the way to the end of the video. And I will remind you again, we have that gun giveaway going on, so click the link in the description to learn more. I'm Kevin Michalowski. If you enjoy guns, freedom, and everything about concealed carry, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and we'll see you in the next video. Stay safe.